might be enough, like, overarching first, like, I'm part of, yeah. So, have you guys worked, while we're waiting, I like to just chat, have you guys worked in new homes at all? No, yes?
Close.
Oh, we're gonna change that for at least 3. What have you done in new construction? A full 3%. So you went in with a buyer client? I'm gonna have a lot of questions for you as we go. Because part of what we're gonna talk about. You think this is kind of it for the room? Should I just go live and start? All right, we're just rolling. We wait for no one. All right. All right, so to get started, we're going to talk about who's worked in new homes and who has not, and whether or not you've had a good experience or a bad experience. There's 2 sides of working in the new home industry and business. Overarching is just to grow, right, and have more business volume coming into your pipeline. So a couple questions, if you guys can just kind of play along, whether you've been on a buyer transaction with new or if you haven't. What skill sets do you use right now when you are working with a buyer client and taking them into a new construction build?
So they get fair representation because you are not working for the builder. So as a buyer's agent, you have a better position to show them both sides of the coin. Be as fair as possible.
Right. So your fiduciary
Yeah.
is working for the buyer as the buyer agent. Do you get a buyer agent agreement signed?
Yes.
Right? Who pays you? The builder. Do you know what the builder offers? They can be very different. So it can be anywhere from a flat fee, a flat dollar amount to a percent. If they are co-oping an MLS, then of course you have something that you can really rely on. It's the MLS that says that's what you'll be paid as a buyer agent. So you walk in with your buyer client, and what do you know about the builder at that point? Anything or nothing, or some things?
And for expired census.
Yeah. So I can say that in our opinion, in KW New Homes world, right? And we launched out of Austin. Let me preface it with how I'm coming to you and why I'm coming to you is we launched this. I spent 15 years as a VP of sales and marketing for new home builders. So I speak the builder language. I understand what it is to run sales teams across the whole Mid-Atlantic region. And I would give them their price list for the weekend, and then I'd raise them on Monday, depending on how many sales they had. And we would monitor the sales progression. And I can tell you that when you're thinking about, hi, are we coming across on Zoom okay? Because I'm not seeing the Zoom. I'll hop in here real quick. I love this lady. I'm sorry. That's okay. I'm just jumping over here because
I rarely get to see people like in person, and I see
know.
like twice so far this year.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
So when we talk about working with a builder, there's things that we lose control over that we're normally in control of, right? We are normally in control of the contract that we're having buyers and sellers sign, right? It's our contract.
What slides are we going to?
Oh.
This one?
So just hit, the screen, new homes, that one. So things that we lose control and where we lose our value as agents is it's not our contract anymore. It's the builder contract. And we're not familiar with it. And builder contracts are all one-sided. They favor the builder. Our Maryland contracts have provisions in there to protect both buyer and seller, right? All the way through every page of the contract and then the addendas. In a builder contract, it is very one-sided, so you need to know that going in. The other thing you need to know that is different than working the way we work now is you can't even change the word the or it or and in a builder contract. If there's a misspelling or there's something that your buyer client doesn't like, if you think you're going to red line through it and make changes, they just won't sign it, right? It's their contract driven by their attorneys. I've had attorney clients come into new home communities and they want a copy of the contract to read before they sign it. And then they come back into our office and they have it redlined from here to there and taken out all these paragraphs. And the builder goes, yeah, have a nice day. They're just not going to sell to them and they're not going to alter their contract. So making changes, you just need to know is probably not something you should address or set the expectation with your buyer client that they can do. Additionally, it's not our lender and it's not our title. So how do you know with any comfort that they're getting a good deal or a good rate or that they're going to get approved or the house is going to appraise, right? We're out of our comfort zone. We're control freaks as real estate agents. We like to control things. So it's not our contract. It's not our addenda. It's not our community. It's not our pricing. You can't control pricing either. That new home salesperson has marching orders of what they can sell their houses for. They'll never sell it below base price. Never. Myth versus fact. What do you think a percentage of profit is in most builder sales once they go to closing? So when we're working to negotiate a deal with our buyers, with that builder, what do you think the builder's profit margin is? Any idea?
At least 50%.
So a $500,000 house, they're going to make $250,000 in profit. Anyone else?
So let's say try say 30.
30 to 50. You know, you guys aren't far off from what everybody says. Here's the reality. Most builders these days are in single digit profit margin. Single digit profit margin. I used to in the best of the best market in real estate when I was running sales centers, I was getting about 33% profit in 04, 05 before everything came to a screeching halt, right? So we were still buying land at a reasonably decent price. The costs of materials and things were staying pretty much in line with what we knew the cost would be. So rule of thumb, your land would be about 1/3 of the total price of the house. Your land would be about 1/3. Sometimes closer to 1/4, but if you really got a nice piece of land, it would be about 1/3. Your house cost, which is your sticks and bricks, the things that everyone needs to build the house, is about 85% of the rest. And included in that are all the other fees and costs, right? What keeps going up and has kept going up are the county municipality charges that no one has control over. Water and sewer tap fees and the cost of lumber and the cost of permitting and zoning approvals, and now having to build schools and police and fire departments in order to get a community launched, because now we're tapping into resources in order to expand that don't exist, right? So this cost mechanism for new construction keeps exceeding. So that, just so you have a basis of understanding, right? When you go in to negotiate with a builder and they don't seem to negotiate much with you, I've written checks to real estate agents for more than what the company profit was, if you're comparing bottom line to bottom line. I've paid real estate agents a $20,000 commission, and the company walked away at the end of that transaction with like 14. Okay, so just know if you're not getting a lot of cooperation on the negotiation side, they're nowhere close to 50% margin. It's single digit, right? Now, where can you have an effect on negotiation? So I'm giving you tools that you don't have currently, or you haven't talked about or thought about. So if you're going to help somebody negotiate, basic common sense, the more you add onto a house, the more room you have in margin. Fair? So if you're going to add a morning room extension, base house is base house, right? They know exactly what they're going to make on the base house. And they also know, by the way, 85% of the time in Maryland, there's a real estate agent involved. So 85% of their base house pricing has already factored your commission in it, in the base house. So when you talk with your buyers, why should they use you? They're paying for you already. Rule number one, right? Most builders have already factored paying a real estate agent into the base price of the house, and they will never sell lower than base, right? So you're already paid for. What does it cost your buyer? Nothing. What do they hope to gain? New construction is a lot to learn. When you sell a resale home right now, you're going out, you see that house out of the window? That land is that land. Is it going to change? Is that house going to change the way it looks right now? When you buy new construction, will the land change? If you're buying a to-be-built home, that land that is currently undisturbed, right? It's kind of raw land, or maybe they have what we call infrastructure. Infrastructure is you have curb and gutter into the community. You can drive on the street. You can look at the little lot signs. We call them home sites. We call them lots. In general brokerage, they hate that. So you have your home site numbers. And then you can see they have stakes in the ground, so you know where the home sites are going to go. That's sort of like the beginning. Until that dirt is moved to construct a home, it's going to change. And your new value proposition that you're going to learn with KW New Homes is how to be able to create the vision. Can you explain right now how that house is going to sit on that dirt when the house is done? And the only reason you don't know is because no one has explained to you how to read the plan, right? No one has explained to you how to read an overlap grading plan, how to read a contour map of how that dirt is going to move and change. How many times do you see somebody buy a new home and they say, oh my gosh, that lot was level when I bought it, and now my driveway is at a 7% grade. I can't even see the nose of my car when I'm going up the driveway. It wasn't like that. They bought without using a real estate agent that is going to know what you guys will now know. You need to ask these questions when you go in with your buyer to buy a new home. Can I see a grading plan? That site rep is going to be relieved that, one, you know their language, right? They already like you because you're speaking their language. When a buyer signs all the paperwork with the builder, they're going to sign that grading plan. And it's going to have all these contour lines and squiggly lines and boxes and arrows and dashes and dots. You don't know what it means right now. We'll teach you what all of that means so you can educate your buyer so they're buying with an informed decision. A walkout lot versus an in-ground basement. These are all things on that map, but you don't know it yet. Okay, so you're going to learn that. So those are some similarities and differences. frozen. There we go. So KW New Homes is going to provide for you all of these things. It's education and training on not just the similarity skill sets that you already have, but what are the differences? You know how to talk to a buyer. You know how to build rapport. You know how to engage in a relationship. You know how to take them out. You know how to write a contract. And you know how to help them get from contract to close. It's just different when you work with New Homes. We're going to not only teach you the value proposition of being able to work with buyers and market yourself as a builder buyer agent, but you're also going to be able to market yourself as a listing agent. Come here, you, as a listing agent for builders wanting to list. Hi. I'm sorry. So you're going to be able to talk with builders about getting their listings. When you get builder listings, what are you talking? What are you talking? Listings.
Multiple.
Volume, unit count. What are we all about right now in 2023?
Listings.
Listings and listings as what we can control are units. What we can't control is pricing. Pricing is reflective of the market. You need to focus on units. How many units are you selling? If you double down on your unit growth, when the market starts to flourish again in pricing and all of that, then your dollar volume comes along with it if you focus on your units. Okay? When you sell a builder, if you're working with a builder client, which I have, that's my whole thing. I network with all of my peers when I was a VP of sales and marketing. They're still my friends. And so I work with them to list their houses. And I'll give you a case study here in a little bit. When you sell their houses, you list more than one, right? They have a spec house for sale. They have 5 left in the community to sell. They take their superstar sales agent and they move them to a new startup community because that's where you get the volume and the velocity and that new agent is taken care of. We close out the last 5. Who would like 5 listings? That's what we're doing. We create the relationships and we give you bulk listings, right? Everyone should just jump. Alana, they didn't jump. Are you Zoomers jumping? It's after lunch.
Well, that's okay. Brianna's just gonna take all. She raised
Okay.
She wants all of it.
So when you get a builder listing, what else comes along with it? So you get the builder listing, so you can sell that builder listing house, that unit, right? How many people are going to inquire about buying that house and how many people can buy it?
Fine.
Right? So you market and advertise it. One person gets to buy the house. How many people do you get to work with now that you know want to buy a house, something like that around that area?
Listing equals 3 potential pieces of business.
That's right.
Market.
Right. Or more. We'll take more units, right? And so you get the listing, which is a listing, then you get the buyer, which is a buyer deal, and then you get 3 more that come after it. And then if you sell 5 or 6 houses in the same community, what do you have? E-I-E-I-O. Farm, right? I knew if I went back to my child, somebody would get it. All right, so you have a farm, right? And so in your farm, like how long does it take you to build a farm? Typically?
Oh, I see some names on here. I see names on Zoom, by the way, that were just in my geo farming class that I had at 11 o'clock today.
How long does it take you to build a farm?
12 months.
A year.
At least a year to become the household word, right?
Mm-hmm.
To own that farm, it takes you a year. How much money do you spend to own that farm?
Too much.
Couple thousand, if you're going to do it. right? You send postcards, you do neighborhood events, you sponsor the swim team, you go to the school, you sponsor events, you have meetings. All of that is time and money, right? So if you own a farm by selling 5 people, general rule of how many homes are in a neighborhood, but you sell about 5 people a home in a neighborhood, you can claim it as your farm and you network it as such. How much did you invest by working with that builder financially to own that farm? We pay for all the expenses on the new home side. You pay nothing, right? When you own a farm, you don't have to pay for all the marketing and advertising and builder developer site stuff. I'll show you that. So your cost is 0. You spend your time. Your time is valuable, but your ramp up time to own the farm. You just own the farm. You went in, you listed 5 builder units for sale, you sold 5 builder units, you market it and tell everyone in the neighborhood that you are the neighborhood expert, and so you are. Okay. So this will walk you through a whole curriculum of skill sets to help you build on how to do that business. Understanding the builder operations and sales systems, effectively working with on-site builder teams, buyer pathing systems, and closing techniques. These are similar, but yet different. And if I can pick on one, buyer pathing systems and closing techniques. Can anyone tell me how it's different to sell a new home community than it is an existing home in an existing community? Yeah, what's different about that? Right? So you're selling a vision a lot of times, right? If you're working with a builder and they have 5 or 10 lots for sale and there's nothing constructed yet, and you're that new home sales representative, you have to sell a vision. This is not something you've sold before. You sell what you see, you sell what you know, you sell what exists. And now you're gonna have to pull on some new skills of selling a vision. And guys, this is something that we call lifestyle selling. And so you're going to learn how to do this lifestyle selling, and you can do it in your general brokerage business as well when you're holding an open house and people come in from out of the area. Very similar, right? They don't know where they are. They don't know the amenities around them. They don't know how to find them. It's very similar to selling a new home community. What do? What are some of the activities you like to do? Do you ask your buyers this now when you're working with them? You do? Well, you guys are good. Because a lot of times we don't ask. Tell me some of the things, some of the activities you like to do. Does anyone in your family swim? Do you need a swimming pool nearby or in the community? A lot of times we don't go down that path of needs analysis. We're talking about how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what's your square footage? Do you want to walk out basement? Does it need to be brick? Right? Do you need a garage? We talk about statistical things with the house, not necessarily their life. And so that's a little bit different when you talk buyer pathing systems, because you're selling a lifestyle of something they can't envision yet. Builder operations and systems, we touched on that a little bit. We talked about what percent do you think a builder makes, and a lot of people thought 50% margin, single digit. It's a lot lower, Construction timelines and closing. Did you ever wonder why, when you go into a builder, because you're going to have to explain this when you're working on site with the builder rep, the house hasn't even started yet, and your buyer decides they want hardwood floor on the home main level now. They really don't want the LVP. And you go in and you ask the builder site rep to make that change, and they say no. Why no?
It's because they've already ordered the supplies. Because it takes so long to get them.
Yeah, it's a lead time. It's a purchase order system, right? So we're manufacturing a whole bunch of product in all at the same time. When you're selling a new construction home, it has to be permitted, right? And in the permit process, you have to make decisions with your buyers. Do they want to add that rear morning room or that side sunroom? Do they want the 3-car garage? When you look at the front facade of a house and you want that one that has this peak, it's called a reverse gable. You have to choose what's called that elevation design. These are permitting things. If it's not asked for when the buyer first signs the contract, that's how it goes into the permit process with the county. And that is how the house has to be built per the permit. If it's not in there in the beginning, you can't add it later. Because then you disrupt the permit process, right? And time costs the company money. So as a builder sales rep, you would say to your buyer clients or the agents coming in to work with you, take your time in this first phase. I want you to really know, choose, and understand what structural options you want in the house, because we can't change it later. And it's not because we don't want to. Go into the why, right? Don't just be the no. Nope, can't do it. Sorry. Why? The house has to be ordered, the permit has to be done. House has to be engineered based on the way you've designed it, and we're building it for you. So if it takes you another week, let's just kind of pause for a minute and decide what structural options you want, because once you make them, we can't change them. So you need to educate your buyers when you're taking them out on that process, right? What can they do now? What can they decide later? What else is your value proposition in new homes that you can help educate that a builder site rep might not be looking out for them on when it comes to choosing structural options?
So I don't know if this answers exactly your question, but I ran into this working when I was back in the day. I was helping a friend of mine, her and her husband, buy a new build, and I was warning them that the new build is going to want to upsell them on everything.
Mm-hmm.
They want to make more money,
Uh-huh.
and upsell doesn't always mean you're getting the best deal.
Right.
And even though warning about it, that builder absolutely upsold them on everything, and their $450,000 house was now $625,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Fortunately, I guess your folks could still qualify to buy
They
it.
did, they were still able to qualify, but after the fact, they had all this buyer's remorse, not on the property, they loved the property, they loved the new build, they loved what they had, but they realized that a lot of those things weren't necessary. And a lot of those things were things that they could have done throughout the years at a much cheaper cost. Way much.
I love that you went there. And that's part of your counseling and your decision making with them, right?
And they don't.
And sometimes they don't listen. But here's the thing. Builders build models with a lot of options in it so you can see it, because what do we do as creatures of habit? We buy what we like, we buy what we see, right? So they usually build their most popular selling floor plan as their model, because most people like it and prefer it. And they put their most popular options in the house. And they usually put every structural option they can to increase the size of that house. Because if you're standing in that space and you're like, oh my gosh, I love this. It's so spacious. This is what I've always wanted. That's a $30,000 option you're standing in. Do you love it? Right? Right? But conversely, you need to understand what they can afford to pay in a mortgage, what they're qualified to finance, versus do they have the cash to spend later? If you choose certain structural options at the beginning of a construction process, and I always tell everybody, build your box first, build your house, put everything on it structurally that you're going to want. You can finish your basement later. You need to have a tough love conversation, but is that you? Just because you can finish your basement later, will you? If that is vitally important to you, and you have to have that in your home over the next year, will you have the cash savings to do it later, or should you not do the 3-car garage and move that money to the basement? And sometimes that's a conversation a builder site rep will have that you guys need to be prepared to have after they walk through a builder model and they fall in love with all the eye candy. All the jewelry's in there. Everything's in there, right? And there's stuff they can't have. There's certain custom options they put in the model to make you fall in love with something that you could have in the next 3 years. Those built-in bookcases, yeah, that's just for show. It's not an option. That 4-piece trim package, yeah, we don't do that. Well, you did it. Yeah, well, it's just because it's the model. Couple questions you ask when you walk through the model. When you get into a builder community, you find the site rep and you say, what is your most popular selling floor plan, right? You want to know what that house is. Second question that's going to tell you a lot about your buyer's budget, to Alana's point. On average, I won't hold you to it. On average, what do most people spend in options in your community to build this house? They know.
What do people spend?
What do people spend in options when they build this house? You will have a big variety of answers from builders. There are some national builders that you would think would charge you an arm and a leg and extra everything. And in all honesty, they put so much in standard that when I ask that question of them, it's 20 or 30,000. I'm like, what? That's it? Your average buyer only invests another $20 or $30,000 on all these houses that you're selling in this community because you include quartz countertops standard. You include all your luxury vinyl plank standard. You include your upgraded cabinet standard. You include a finished rec room standard. And the reason they do it, the builders do it, right? Why do they do so much standard? The ones that do. It's per unit cost buying power. It's buying power. If a builder is going to contract with trades and subcontractors and suppliers of cabinets and furnaces and countertops, oh my, then they're going to get a bulk unit pricing. So why not? If everyone wants quartz instead of granite these days, why not just give them quartz? You look better than all the other builders. And if you can beat your supplier up to give you quartz instead of granite, which by the way, now costs about the same, and provide quartz, and you look better and your cost is the same or lower because you did it in. Anyway, that was a big rabbit hole. So know what on average people spend in options and upgrades in that community, because to Alana's point, if they're going to spend another $100,000 or $150,000, you might not want to take your buyer there at all. You just broke their budget. So you preview the builders that you want to take your buyers to. You walk in and you talk to that site rep. He's fine. You talk to the site rep and you build a relationship with them. I work with buyers in the area. Can I do an open house for you? I'll do it free. Can I come in and do an open house?
The buyers,
As an agent with Keller Williams.
Without your buyers going.
Market an open house. Market an open house. Host an open house. When the market's really slow in the fall and winter for them, they will beg you to come do an open house for them.
So you're saying go in and introduce yourself, get that relationship going, and request to do an open house with a model home.
Yeah. Alongside them. Business partners.
So you just ask these sales rep or?
Yeah. Yep. Hi. So you just say, I would like to do an open house. Would this weekend or next be better? I'd like to start marketing and advertising it. Right? So now you've created a bond and a relationship. You're providing a service. And did you cost them anything? If in return, what do you want to get by building this relationship? Listings. 85% of the time, when a buyer comes in to buy a new home, they have to sell one. You want to be their preferred selling agent. Even if you don't get to list their houses yet, you haven't earned it yet, you're building a relationship. You're building a trust, you're building a bond, you're building a partnership. You're there, you're doing open houses, you're working beside them. Hey, guess what? If you need to be off one day next week and you don't have coverage, I'll come sit your mom for you. I'm happy to do it. I can work, I can do my job from here. I'll hold the doors open. Be a service. And then you create the relationship. Through creating the relationship, you want to be the preferred selling agent. All right. Closings. How long does it take to close a house? New construction.
There's this, I think 6 months on average. New construction I'm working on, and I think we signed in October, we started building in November. We're closing March 13th, next week.
Are you? Are you sure?
Yes.
You had a little question mark on that.
Yes, went for the walkthrough yesterday, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to
Zoom,
come.
they're saying 6 to 9 months.
So it can be anywhere from 4 months to 9 months, depending on who the builder is. If they have permit sets ready to go, which all they have to do is say, I'm building this house on this lot, let's roll, right? Or if they have to go all the way back and architecturally engineer or re-engineer the plan and then resubmit it to the county and then get it approved and then get it started. Custom homes, you're 9 months to a year, oftentimes. Tract homes, builders that just build the same thing lot after lot, 4 to 6 months. The quicker you turn the dirt, the quicker you turn the money, the more profit you make because you're paying only on cost.
My best friend's bought new build December. And I think it's looking to really fun to see the pictures of the progress, and it is set for May.
Okay.
Set.
And
Nuts.
in most builder contracts, do you know how much time the builder contract says that they have to build the house?
That's what I was going.
It usually says 2 years. And that's scary. How do you overcome that obstacle with your buyer? When if they read the contract, right? Most buyers don't, but if they read the contract and they get to the provision of how long does it take to build, how do you overcome the obstacle of that 2 years? Listen, the builder doesn't want to take 2 years to build your house. They got a little bit of your money in the way of a deposit. They want the rest. That's the truth. The truth of the matter is the builder doesn't want your $20,000. The builder wants your $600,000. Right? And so they don't want to wait 2 years to build your house, but it's in there as a provision, as a precaution, as a safety net, in case anything was to happen in the development phase of that section, because they're selling ahead, right? They're projecting ahead that they're going to have water and sewer lines to that part of the community when it's time to start building. They're projecting that you're going to have utilities in, because you can't start building a house until you have the infrastructure coming up out of the ground into the basement level of that house. If you can't pull your plumbing and your electrical lines, you got nothing to build. That's called prairie building, and that's a whole nother problem. You don't want to do that. You don't want to build the house and try to get utilities in after, right? It's really hard. Sometimes you got to tear the house down. So you want to say the 2-year provision is a safety net. It's in all builder contracts. It's to protect them in the event, but they want the rest of your money as soon as possible. Here's what we can do in the meantime. We're going to stay on top of it. I'll contact the sales manager on site every week and just ask for the progress of the permit. Is it out yet? Do we have a start date? Is it out yet? Do we have a start date? When's our start date? Can we meet with the project manager? Can we review all of our option selections? That's the next phase. You meet with the salesperson, you choose it all. You meet with the guy that's going to build it and you verify that these are the things that are going to go into the house. And after that verification, the house starts, right? Once the house starts, you're okay. You're okay. Something has started. It's going to go under roofs super fast. Super fast. You're going to go from nothing to under roof. And then it's going to look like everything stopped. Why aren't they working on my house? Why aren't they doing anything? Are they? They're in the really long process of installing the interior walls, right? Framing all the interior walls, doing all the rough-ins for the electrical and the HVAC and the plumbing. All of that has to be installed. It's not pretty, it's behind the walls, right? As they're building walls. So it doesn't look like, and then they have to wait for each county inspection to happen. The county has to come inspect the framing. The county has to come inspect the plumbing. The county has to come inspect the electrical. They have to inspect and inspect and inspect. And nothing else can happen in that house until that inspection happens. Tools down. Gotta wait. The inspector signs off, they start working again, right? It's part of the process. So understand how to explain the process to your buyers. This isn't something most agents know how to do. I would normally teach you that in the class, but now you know. We talked about briefly the walkthrough. She said she just did a walkthrough right prior to closing. What happens at a walkthrough before closing? What do they always do when you walk into a new home and you do that walkthrough before closing? What do they give you?
Blue tape.
Blue tape. Why?
To put blue tape on everything. My husband, I bought a new building for her, and it was our first home, and the builder said, okay, here's a roll of blue tape. I want you to walk around, take as much time as you want.
Yep.
If you're not a perfectionist, bring a perfectionist with you.
Yeah.
And best thing if you're not. And then put blue tape everywhere where you see a little
Anything.
anything, a little ding, a little chip, a little paint thing, anything at all, because they will fix all of that
Yeah.
either before you settle, or typically it's like the month after you settle.
And what do they, but they're focusing you on the drywall, right? Look at the walls. Look at the walls. Here's
So mine was like outlets, test every outlet, look at the floor. My builder was hey,
Everywhere?
Look down, look, yeah.
But they give you this blue tape, they give you this power to go through the house and mark any imperfection you see. Oh my gosh, you're empowered, right? You got your blue tape. And so normally they start with drywall. They walk you down the path that they want you to be on. They're not stupid, right? And they say, the rule is this. We want you to stand 3 feet back from the wall. We don't, if you have to get to the wall and you have to be 2 inches away to see where we missed a little paint spot, like you're just looking a little too hard, 3 feet back, right? Mark any imperfections. So you get caught up in marking drywall. You don't want that to happen to your buyers. They're going to paint those walls soon after, or not soon after they move in, right? It's going to be a different color someday at some point. Don't worry so much about a paint blemish on the wall. And whatever you see in the daytime, you're going to see different at night. Lights cast shadows. Even being in the new home industry for so long, and I built my new house and I'm sitting in my family room in the evening, and I just kind of put my head back and I looked up and I was like, oh my God, there's a whole patch in the ceiling where it never got paint, like ever. It's just drywall. But because the ceiling was an off-white paint color, I couldn't see it, and I couldn't even see it during the day, that when you get different light at night, you see things that you don't see, right? Don't worry about mark it if it's glaring. You want hard surfaces. When you do your walkthrough, it will say on your walkthrough paperwork what they do not warrant after move-in. What they do not warrant after move-in is if you put a big scratch in your hardwood floors, the movers come in and they're moving your baby grand piano and they scratch your floor, is the builder going to come back and fix it? If you're walking around staring at walls and ceilings and you miss a cracked tile in your bathroom or on your floor, or a big scratch, or you miss that the cabinet doors warped because you're looking at your paint, you're missing the big dollar items. You run your hands around the countertops in your kitchen. You know how many times a builder will take their tools or power tools, drop them on the cabinet, and check it.
So we had an experience, we didn't take everything up, we were like, we'll do all this, all that, and we missed tons. We actually had an experience where we had I feel very lucky to have a builder who was so,
Lennar is conscientious.
so conscientious that he's like, I want you to get down on the floor, I want you to look under things. We're way on the floor, it was fine. And it was so important because when they put the fridge in, it actually cracked the entire wood floor. Completely, like the hardwood floor completely cracked it under the fridge. And that crack was expanding. And if I didn't lay down the floor, I would totally miss that.
Right?
And then that
Yeah.
but there is a question on Zoom.
Okay.
Do you recommend getting a home inspection?
Yes, absolutely, all the time. Why do you ask?
The new builder I was talking about, we ordered an inspection and the builder emails me to say, you know, even if you're doing your inspection, it doesn't stop at closing. In that case, what am I to do?
So that is true. So they can't prevent you from doing an inspection. You can challenge it if they start to get a little obstinate about it. But they can control when you do the inspection. So normally a home inspector that you work with, you want to have that inspector include in the estimate for your buyer to do a 2-step inspection on a new construction. You want them to come and do the first part of their evaluation of the home before insulation and drywall. So at the framing stage. This means you need to coordinate this with that relationship that you developed with the on-site salesperson and the relationship you developed with the project manager who's building the house. So they know upfront at contract, you are doing a 2-step inspection. You're going to do it before close-in is builder term, before close-in, which means drywall. And you want to do one pre-settlement, right? Why do you want to do 2? Any ideas?
Well, first one is
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can catch at the framing stage that you can't catch when the home's finished. Did you ever look at the corner of your house or your road? You wonder why? Like every time you go to paint that, it's just a little wonky, it's a little off, it's not square, right? So 2x4s can twist, they're made of wood. They can twist and turn a little bit, and sometimes they bow. And if they bow out, you will have this like hump in the wall. Inspectors will catch that, right? They'll catch if the electrical didn't get wired in correctly. They'll catch the plumbing. They'll do a video tour so that you have that on file. If you go to hang a real heavy piece of artwork and you want to put it in a wall, you don't want to puncture your ductwork. You don't want to go through a pipe, right? Because you're going to use some pretty big anchor bolts when you do that. So you want to do a video walkthrough tour while the house is still in studs and framing stage before drywall, after electrical, after plumbing. And there is a very small window. You're going to make them nervous when you tell them you want to do a 2-step inspection because it's hard to stop a moving train. And that's what they're going to tell you. It's the language I hear and I've heard for decades. The house is moving. Everyone is scheduled. And so they have to stop for you to do the inspection. They're not going to stop that house for 2 days. They're going to stop that house for maybe a day, but it's usually a fraction of a day, right? So as you're out there and you're getting the framing going and you see that the plumber is in the house and you see the HVAC guy is in the house, you want to keep emailing and talking to the construction manager and the salesperson, and you got to say, hey, remember, we're doing a home inspection before closing. We're doing a home inspection before closing. When can we schedule it? I need to get it scheduled. We're available on Tuesday and Wednesday next week. Does that work? Like, be crazy about it at that point, because if they hang drywall, they're not going to take it down. Okay.
make any recommended repairs before that?
They can make recommended repairs. The builder doesn't have to if the home is built per code, they don't have to take the home inspector's suggestions. It's peace of mind, it's comfort knowing that the home is built well. Sometimes the inspector will catch some things that the superintendent didn't catch. It's like proofreading your own English paper, right? You've written this whole essay and you've read it 5 times. And it's your paper and you look past this grammatical incorrection every time because you've read it so many times. That guy's in the house so many times and he noted it, he saw it, he knows he's got to fix it. That window was supposed to be a bay window instead of a double window. And he knows it and he ordered it and it's coming, but it's not here yet. And the house still keeps getting built. And then that window arrives and they have to rip the siding off the house to put the window in. And it just happens, right? But you need to make sure you're on top of it and you're seeing what's happening along the way. Specialty niches.
Oh, yeah, there is one more question. Do all builders offer a builder? What's that wrong?
That's a tap dance. Not all builders will offer a builder warranty. The majority of builders offer a builder warranty, and the warranties are quite different. The most frequently seen warranties that they'll offer is a 1-year, 2-year, 10-year warranty. The way you can tell the difference, a 1-year warranty is usually on things you can touch, right? So there's a 1-year warranty on faucets. They'll say that you have a plumbing warranty and an electrical warranty. So all the people who worked on the house also are subject to quality control standards from the builder. And so they have them on contract that if that plumbing faucet leaks in the first year, that subcontractor under warranty has to come back and they have to adjust or fix your faucet. Things you can touch usually have the 1-year warranty. Things you cannot touch plumbing wise has a 2-year warranty. That's the pipes behind the wall, right? So if you have a plumbing warranty, you have 1 year on faucets, 2-year on pipes. After that, kind of not. If it's good, if that pipe's going to leak, it's probably going to leak at a full pressure check on the house. And if it doesn't leak, then it's probably not going to. The same thing with the 10-year warranty. It's usually structural, and structural is very narrow as far as what's structural. But every builder will have a warranty booklet and it'll spell out what that means. But they are quite different, and the companies that write them are different. RWC is if you want to look up RWC, that's a warranty that a lot of builders use. Good question. Specialty niches. Primary single-family residential homes, master plan communities, right? So that's one niche market that you can market to. Second homes and resorts. We actually work with companies like Margaritaville, where they're bringing up hotels in destination areas, and they're bringing up the condo, and we sell the condos for them. We're doing one in Belize right now. It's already staffed, so no one can go to Belize. It's already spoken for, but we do have opportunity. I know, I was like, can I go? We do have opportunities that are resort type opportunities if you have the ability to travel and be off site in another location for about a year. That's how long it takes to sell an entire resort. So those come up. Guy Harvey is another developer that we're in relationship with. Ritz-Carlton Residences we have relationships with. So don't hesitate to say KW New Homes, because we're kind of a big deal now. Active adult, 55 plus communities, urban living and townhome condos. These are all different niche markets. And so you have to go with what really kind of sings to you, right? Where do you feel you can represent the best and start there? Don't start with everything. Find your niche and let's work it until you get what you want out of it. I don't think this plays with volume. It still doesn't. I'll try it again, but it hasn't so far. Maybe we're in the lucky market center.
Share it. I could send it out.
Yeah. Yeah, no music. So we have a community evaluation form that you'll use when you go into a community to try to help figure out what is applicable, like what for your buyer makes this a good community. You should take a community evaluation form, and I'll email it to you so you can distribute it and share it. When you go into any new community, these are just base questions, and you want to get to know that community by finding out these topics in the community evaluation form. So when you do have a buyer and they are considering new, you can go to your file of your community evaluation forms and you can easily find what suits them between house type, square footage, and price. Sorry, that goes so fast. Same thing. So we have a virtual community set up for KW New Homes. I was in a training segment. And what we do in the virtual community is go over everything that's happening in the market globally. So you may be able to get some relocating buyer referrals going in and out. There's 13 of me in KW New Homes. I'm a regional ambassador. I run from Ohio to North Carolina. So I have about 13,000 agents that I work with and help get established in KW New Homes. So in with the portal, you will have a ton of collateral and marketing materials to use if you join and choose to be a member of the KW New Homes community. It's a community. Just like the other segment communities that we offer, we have military, we have luxury, we have young professionals, we have land, we have commercial. Alana, we have like 15 communities, right? And that's for you to help you find your niche. Like what sings to you? What do you want to be part of? We talked a little bit about the training available, best practices, and that's just something I can engage with you on. Something you may see that you need KW New Homes on that's a big deal. And some things we just may need to interact one-on-one to help you launch in and grab that listing opportunity. But we want to focus on listings. We want to focus on networking with builders in order to get your volume play. It's in the units. It's great to have the tool bag to help buyers make decisions, and you can add that to your why you choose me, but the volume play is going to come through listings. So right now I have 1,300 agent graduates in my region and 250 agents that I have currently in training that have not been certified yet. You can choose to be certified through New Homes and have all of the assets at your fingertips, or you can choose just to work one-on-one to get started. It's up to you. That's such a big picture with my retainer on. Why does she do that? And so this is kind of the area that I'm working in, and then I have Coastal Carolina. So let's pause a second on Coastal Carolina. She needs to fix that picture. So Coastal Carolina is it's the first KW New Homes community we launched as the KW New Homes platform, and it is currently the only selling new home community that we've successfully launched under the big umbrella of New Homes. What that means, let me see if I can, hang on. About that. In essence of time, I think I'm going to skip to the example. When KW New Homes is involved, we do all these things for you and with you. When you walk into a KW, or when you walk into a New Homes community, you walk out with a brochure, right? And in the brochure, you have every floor plan. You have their standard features. You have their options and upgrades. You have a site map that shows what they're building and where. And then you can go to their website. We do all of that in support of you. All you need to do is do what you do. Create relationships, get people to write offers, and get them to closing. All the other deliverables and assets we do alongside of you. We'll do the photography on the projects. The one in Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina that I launched, we did this huge billboard sign out on Virginia Dare. You guys know where Virginia Dare? It's the main street through the Outer Banks. Big billboard sign for her. We did all the marketing. We did the drone photography. We did ads through KW Command. And those ads, I strategically placed 5 of them because it's what I used to do. I used to figure out, okay, feasibility, where do these people come from? Who's buying it? Where are they coming from? How much money do they have? Who's the investors? And so I placed 5 ads through Command coming down the East Coast. I started in New York and worked my way all the way down to like Richmond, Virginia. And in those 5 ads, I duplicated the same ad because it was really a good ad. So I was like, in Command, you can only do a 50-mile radius, right, for your ad. So I did 50-mile radius in New York and in New Jersey and in Connecticut, and then 2 in Virginia, Northern Virginia, and then Southern Virginia. Out of those 5 ads, I don't know if he played this for you guys or not. How many buyer leads did that flow to our KW agent in North Carolina? Ads. The cost was $800. So I'll give away how much money we spent. 2. 14,000 leads. She has a database of 14,000 leads for an ad that she paid $0. We paid $800 to run Command ads targeted to those areas of people that would most likely buy an investment property at the beach in North Carolina. She had 33 townhomes to sell. And in this story, when she involved me, she said, hey, I have this guy, ExxonMobil money. He's got a lot of money. He buys sand all over the place down here versus land. And then he builds houses. And then a lot of times he just uses local agents to sell. I think I want to do his business. He's been talking to my father-in-law, who's a builder developer down here. And they're thinking about building some townhomes. Can you help me? So I drove down. We had a couple meetings. He was getting ready to go with a different agent in the Outer Banks because the agent was going to cut him a deal. And the agent was going to sell his properties for 1% listing fee per unit. And we proposed 2% per unit. And he said, well, why would I use you and pay twice as much? Now, her name's Alexandra. Alex and I had already looked at the project. We did what's called a feasibility study. Have you guys ever done like a feasibility study? It determines what it says, the feasibility of building a project. Like what should the square footage be of the units? Who's going to buy it? Where are they going to come from? How much will they spend? Right. And so that's something that I do. And so we did a feasibility study on it. And we said, okay, we're going to build 2, 3, 4, and maybe a 5-bedroom, really big unit in the course of these townhomes. And we're going to sell them for, it looks like somewhere around $425 a square foot. So she and I did all of this. It's like a CMA on steroids, right? Instead of looking at one house, you're looking at a 2-bedroom unit, a 3-bedroom unit, a 4-bedroom unit, a 5-bedroom unit, and all these different variations. And so we did the feasibility study, and she and I were on the same page. And I said to the guys, well, what are you going to get for this 1%? Like, if he's going to do it for 1%, he's leaving something behind. What is it? And he said, well, I don't know. He's going to sell them for $3.99 a square foot. And I almost punched her. I was just like, oh, he's leaving money on the table. He's going to sell these units for $3.99 a square foot for 1%. Everyone loses, except the buyer. I care about the buyer, but not in this sense, right? I have to care about the seller and the agent. So she started getting all nervous, and I said, hey, hold on. I'm going to spend the night. I like to regroup on this tomorrow morning. I have some things I want to talk to Alex about since you have come up with this other agent that we weren't thinking was on the radar. Will you give us till tomorrow morning to come up with a better plan for you? And he said, okay, sure, but that's it. I'm leaving. I'm heading back to Texas after that. We're like, fine. So I got together with Alex and I said, hey, girl, look, if this guy's going to sell these units for 1% at $3.99 a square foot, let's agree to the same. no, he's a pain in the butt. You don't know this guy. I'm like, well, but we're not. What did we say we're going to sell him for? What is our prospectus on it? What are we going to do? 425. So let's create a listing agreement with an escalation clause. You guys do escalation clauses in your sales contracts. I did an escalation on the listing. And I said, let's agree that if we sell these for $3.99 a square foot, we'll charge them the same 1%. Because we're not going to do that. And let's say that if we sell it between 400 and 415 a square foot, we get 1.5. And let's look at the numbers. Mr. Moneyman, you're going to make this much more money, and we're going to make this much more money, right? And then if we sell them from 416 to 420, we get 2. And if we sell 421 and over, we're going to get 2.5. So now she's actually going to get more money than we thought, right? Because we were going to charge them 2%. Now my eyes are like, nah, you're a jerk. We want 2.5 on every one of these. And so we created it, and I showed him in each scenario how much more money he would make compared to us. And I said, do you agree that if you make more money, we should make more money? If we're going to put more money in your pocket, then we should get paid to do that. And he said, okay, I agree. I see the numbers. It looks like it's there. So that's how she won the contract over the guy there. And I will show you, if you want to look it up at all. oceanbreezeobx.com is the website of the community. And from that $20 million project that she got, $20 million in sales volume for her, and 33 units, and 14,000 buyer leads of people who are going to buy something in the Outer Banks, whether it was that project or not, and a billboard out on the highway. And so all these other builder developers, so another builder developer saw the project, saw the sales velocity, because we put a site plan up, and every time we sold a unit, we marked it sold. So all the other builders down there are seeing her success, and she got another builder on the line that she was then able to run with without our help and market and advertise all those oceanfront properties. And then this builder came back to her and said, I have 4 single family homes. They're all they're 20 bedroom. If you look at the Outer Banks, it's the only 20 bedroom homes that they build in the Outer Banks this guy built. And they were all spec homes. They were sitting there unsold. Every month a house sits unsold, it erodes the margin of the builder. He said, hey, look, if you're getting all this volume and you're getting all this play and you're able to get these sales, I think I want you to list my single families for me too. $5 million a piece for these single family homes, and she sold all 4. So you got $40 million out of this relationship in sales volume. That's what a builder relationship can do, right? Think big. Look at Brian. Boy, he was dialed out. And now all of a sudden he is dialed in. He heard millions.
Yeah, I was like, I heard that number.
All right. So here's some of the other suite of services that we provide. It's pretty much everything any builder has. The SEO and SEM services for the website, if you look at oceanbreezeobx.com, we did everything that was there. Everything. He gave me the site plan on a cocktail napkin. All right. Any printed piece you need, everything. It's everything you need. We support. That's my contact. Any questions? Probably a million.
Builders, they have their own builders that work for them full-time basis. They want the buyers to work with them.
So
House
some builders, especially national builders, hire and employ their own sales team. It's called in-house sales representatives, and they pay them a salary and they pay their bonuses and health insurance and all that stuff. And then they pay them so much per house, right, for their sales. Not all builders have in-house sales staff. Craftmark Homes used to have all in-house sales staff. And Ken Mom's the owner. He called me one day and he said, I hate my salespeople. I'm like, Ken, that's not nice. And he said, I just don't like dealing with sales. I like building houses. I just want to build houses. I don't want to deal with sales. You deal with sales. And so I was corporate headquarters at Long and Foster during that time, running the new homes division for them. And so every Craftmark Homes community you would go in, that on-site salesperson was a Long and Foster agent. So we just took over the whole sales staff for them. And they're still running it. I haven't attempted to get it back yet. I still have some time where I can't address him yet, but I will. Coming soon.
In the that way we can probably offer more discount for the buyer.
So what I don't want you guys to try to do is to go pitch KW New Homes to any on-site salesperson. Because you're actually walking them out the door of their job, right? So you don't really want to say that. You just want to create a relationship with that on-site salesperson, that you're part of KW New Homes, and your job is really to help buyers understand the new home process. And that oftentimes a real estate sales agent and a new homes salesperson end up in conflict during a transaction at some point, and it's usually to the buyer's detriment. And you want to form a relationship so that doesn't occur with anyone you bring into their sales center. Like that's kind of your premise for being there, is just you want to know what they have. You want to be their resource. You want to be able to bring all your buyers there. You want to host open houses. You want to be that asset. You're going to learn something along the way where you're going to reach out to me and say, hey, guess what, Pauline? I just learned they only have 5 houses left and Sylvia is getting ready to move to another community. That is prime for me to then call that division sales manager or a VP and say, hey, Sam's been in this community. He's been working with your sales rep for the last year. He knows everything there is to know about it. I'd like Sam to do your closeouts. Call your on-site salesperson. She'll vouch. Sylvia will tell you Sam has been here all this time. He is your best option, right? That lets me kind of do that where I can put it together at the decision maker level. Yeah.
There was an agent I worked with in Annapolis who said it so well, just building a relationship. And so he went around and introduced himself to every single builder he possibly could. And every month he just stayed in touch with them.
Yeah.
Made that like a lead gen day every month. And he'd bring them, like, he could order their favorite sandwiches and cupcakes and cookies. And, you know, everybody, because I know, because we got the extras in the office. And he ended up building, you know, not everybody's going to say yes, more than half of them didn't. They never worked with him, but he ended up landing, and I forget the name of the builder. He ended up landing this one builder who always had a salesperson.
Yeah.
Was about to hire a new salesperson. In the meantime, they had to offload some of these homes before they could break ground on new homes.
Yep.
And they're like, hey, we want you to take 11 of these homes, put your sign in all 11,
Make them gone.
and put all 11 on the MLS under your name.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And just because he stayed in touch over, this was the person, I think it's 3 years or so, he was able to land
11 listings
and they get all the buyers off of that.
because of the relationship.
Yeah. The consistency.
It's the failure to follow up, right? And so here to take that one step a little deeper, right? You can go out and you can make it your decision, like on every Tuesday, you're going to go see every builder in the area. But I'm going to ask you to start with picking one. And here's why. It makes my job easier to help you convert this into an account. If you pick, we'll go big, we'll say Lennar. And I just went to the MBIA, Maryland Building Industry Association event, and I just spoke with Lennar. So it's fresh in my mind. We're actually in discussion right now to have us take over some of their sales sites. It is a really good time to pop your head into Lennar, and not just one Lennar. Go to every Lennar within as big of a radius as you can handle and create a relationship and be that name. Because when I go talk to Joni again, and what's going to happen, they have their builder meetings every Monday. And this is going to happen. You're going to go in and you're going to form a relationship. And then that salesperson is going to say, you know, something really weird happened. I had this guy come in, he's with KW New Homes. And then Joni's going to go, oh yeah, I know. I'm already talking to Pauline. What's his name? And then the next person around the table is going to be, he came to my site too. And then the next person, he visited me too. What did you just do? You're very intentional. And now you went to 3 of that builder communities. Now, do they think you have an interest or do they know you have an interest?
They know.
You know, they know. That's right.
They see
So
your
don't
motivation.
Yeah. Yeah. So we want them talking about you, because when I go to have that VP to VP level conversation of getting the account for you, your name is the one that has to come up. Right? I can tell them I have 13,000 agents across the whole region, but when I narrow it down and they go, well, hey, hold on a minute. So-and-so has been in all of our sales offices lately. Because here's the thing, I let them interview you for the job. When I send you in to meet a builder to get the job, you're going to interview with 1, 2, or maybe 3 other KW agents, right? Because I am not going to make that decision. Because I'm not going to be playing favorites across the KW footprint. That is just not me. You have to apply yourself. You have to get known. You have to create the relationship. That's on you. I have to close the deal. I have to provide the suite of services. I need to make sure that I'm servicing on all levels. Everything that builder does, I need to be able to do to back you up, right? The marketing, the advertising, the signage, the print collateral, the marketing materials, your KW New Homes business card, your training to learn how to read a site map and a grading plan. You're going to have to write the builder sales contract. I have to teach you how to write their contract, right? It's not yours. How to enter names into their CRM when they come in. Now, that's big builder. There's small builders, and they don't do business anything like big builders. Go see them. The one thing we know small builders don't like to do is sell. They just want to build. A small builder or a custom builder or anyone that builds 10 or fewer homes a year will need you to do what I showed you on OBX website, right? So they don't have a logo. They don't do sales. They don't do marketing. They don't do outreach. They build houses. So your value proposition to a small local builder is different than a national builder. A national builder, the best we're ever going to get are closeouts. Right? They're not going to let me market Lennar. There's no way they're going to let me create a website. That's their brand. But the small local builders, that's your value. That's your sweet spot. Get to know them. Questions? Anything I didn't answer? Right? Okay. So next steps, get out into the community, start forming relationships. Come up with your why. As a buyer agent working for builders, why you? If you want to join KW New Homes and get that whole suite of services and everything that you want, Alana can point you to the communities and how to join the communities and be a member of KW New Homes. Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
You know, there's so many different communities. We have Stanley and Kenya who are heading up the young professionals community, who